Today's product spotlight is the Melissa folding electric wheelchair. Now, this company did agree to send me this wheelchair so that I could trial it. The only way I would talk about a wheelchair is if I actually got to sit in it and test it out for myself before I could give a really honest review. And I will say I was pleasantly surprised by this product. Now, what was appealing to me right off the bat with this folding electric power wheelchair is one of the downsides of having an electric wheelchair is you have to get a lift for your car, which a lot of people can't do. And there are a lot of you in that category where you maybe can't necessarily push or propel a manual wheelchair long enough distances because either you have hemiplegia, so you're having to do it with one hand and you're trying to foot propel, which can get very taxing. So what this means is that for those specific instances, a power or an electric wheelchair would be beneficial, but going through all the trouble of having to get a lift for your car just makes it not realistic. Therefore, caregivers end up really putting a huge demand on their body, pushing someone around in those scenarios. So, a folding wheelchair would make those scenarios so much better. And after testing this wheelchair out, I do think it does exactly that. So first, some of just the structural features of it. It is very similar to just a regular manual wheelchair that most of you guys have, where you just kind of pull up on the middle of it and it collapses really nice. It also has the swing away footrest, just like your manual wheelchairs. I mean, it's pretty much identical to a manual wheelchair. It has this nice removable pad that is washable. So this just Velcros onto the bottom, and there's another piece that Velcros onto the back. Now, the one thing I will say, the one problem that I did run into with these foot plates is I will say that the foot rests themselves are not the highest quality. They are plastic, and I did what I do a lot of times with a manual wheelchair when I'm sitting in one or getting out of one is I'll kind of keep my foot on that footrest, and you really can't do this on this. I mean, just putting a little bit of putting my body weight on it, you can feel it give just a little bit. So I would say that's one of the downsides of it, is just kind of like the flimsiness a little bit of those foot plates. But really the main differentiator between this wheelchair and a lot of the power scooters that you see on the market are the weight. This wheelchair weighs 40 pounds with the batteries on. Now, if you are someone that you just can't lift it up, these batteries do pop off pretty easily. So if you really were in a pinch and you needed to get it in and out of a car and you didn't have help, you could just easily pop these batteries off and they pretty easily just pop back on. Now, as far as the battery life, I guess you would call it themselves, these are 7.5 amp hour batteries, and there's two of them. So I did look up a power scooter just to kind of see what what the battery life of those are like. And the one that I found, which is the one that I see that most people have, has an 18 amp hour battery life. So somewhat comparable. This wheelchair, does state that it can handle a 9-degree slope, whereas the scooter can handle, it looks like a 6-degree slope. The weight capacity is different between this and a power scooter. The weight capacity for this wheelchair is 265 pounds, and the scooters, again, that you kind of see all over town, those handle just a little bit over 300 pounds. The other nice feature of this wheelchair is that you can put it in manual mode, so you can push it. It is going to be a little bit heavier than a regular manual wheelchair, so that's one of the downsides, but if you were in a pinch, you can put it in manual mode. And then also there is a wireless remote, which I'm a little bit skeptical about. I mean, I guess some people might use it, but I'd be a little bit nervous if I was the one sitting in the wheelchair and someone else was operating it from a remote control. However, that being said, I have had a patient once that told me about a time where they got onto their couch and their child actually got into their wheelchair as like a toy and was playing around with it and actually moved it away from the patient, and they were kind of stranded on the couch. So I can see like maybe that scenario where the actual wheelchair user is keeping that remote on them in case that very rare occurrence happens where a child drives off in it. But that is one of the other features of this chair. Now, as far as the wheels, they do have some tread on them. I will say that I tried it in some kind of like softer mud. It had rained here for a couple of days, and so the ground was a little bit saturated. And when I tried to go up onto a curb step, these wheels just did get stuck in the mud just a little bit, but just a little bit of finagling. I kind of went over to a little bit of a drier area, and it worked fine. And it actually managed to go up like what I would say was probably almost like a 2-inch step, like up from grass, like up onto a sidewalk. So just something that I found no problem going on a variety of terrain. When I did get onto a sidewalk, it goes pretty fast. Max speed on this chair is 4 miles per hour, and I think the max speed on the power scooter is 4.4 miles per hour. This one has or claims to have a 19-mile range. Now, I didn't really have enough time to test that out and actually drive this thing for 19 miles, so I'm just going off of what the manufacturer literature says. And then the scooter, their website says it has a 14-mile range, so maybe a little bit longer range. But all in all, I reached out to this company and asked them if they would send me this chair so that I could demo it, because I just almost thought it was too good to be true, that it folded up, you could put it in the trunk of any car, and it really will just open the world up to those of you that either you don't have the endurance to do some of the activities that you want to do that require you to walk longer distances, or for those of you that are completely capable of managing this joystick with one hand. However, you are limited or you can't get into any kind of a scooter because you don't want to get a lift for a car, or you don't have a car that accommodates a lift. So again, I do think it's the best of all worlds. But as a disclosure, this company is sponsoring this video, and I do receive a small commission if you purchase this wheelchair. So if you're in the market for a wheelchair that you can fit into your car and you want to learn more about this chair or purchase this chair, it would really help this channel out if you click in the link in the description below. And I thank you in advance for your support. But that is it for this video. Again, to learn more about this product or to purchase it, click on the first link in the description below, and I will see you all in the next video.